What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the War Room, episode 4, previewing the AFC North. No shortage of drama when it comes to the AFC North over the past few years. No Mike Tomlin anymore. See what the Steelers have got. The Ravens. No more John Harbaugh. So a little bit of a different look in the AFC North this year as we get to into the training camp has started this week. New faces around the division here. So, if it's your first time tuning in, the previous 3 episodes we previewed the NFC North, we previewed the AFC West, and we have done the NFC East. So those 3 are done. Basically, quick rundown. I go team by team using my model, simulations, playoff odds. I look at division odds, how likely the teams win the Super Bowl, all of that. Quick breakdown for all of those. So without further ado, we'll get straight into it. And I think what probably the most interesting part for this division is that there's a lot of faith in Baltimore. And I think it's justified, but like if I go here and pull up the FanDuel odds, pretty sizable favorite is Baltimore. I don't think they're deserving to be around 50%. I do believe personally that Baltimore and Cincinnati should be a little bit closer together. And then Pittsburgh, there's no voodoo anymore. But, Mike McCarthy taking over there, we'll see what happens. But let's go straight into Baltimore, because there's been some pretty big news out of there today. Nnamdi Madubuike is off the PUP list, which is a huge break for them. They really need him on the defensive side of the ball. When you're looking at last year, they could not, with a 4-man rush, could not get after the passer. They had to blitz a lot more. That's not what new coach Jesse Minter is going to want to do. They need to find a way to get pressure with 4, rushing forward. Madubuike is huge at that. And obviously getting Trey Hendrickson as well. So those are that's a huge revelation for them. They really need him to get going there, because the back end's pretty good. Malachi Starks had a decent rookie year for them last year. Kyle Hamilton obviously is awesome. Marlon Humphrey is getting up there, but like Nate Wiggins and Chidobe Awuzie are solid options at corner. So what should be a much improved unit on the defensive side of the ball for the Ravens this year. And it all starts, in my opinion, with having a healthy Madubuike in the middle of it there. So looking at the Ravens, as you can see here with FanDuel, over 10.5 minus 140. I have them at 10.6 right now. So again, I think they're just a little. I'm a little worried about them. But from a defensive standpoint, like I said, I think they're going to be much improved. Which is big for them, and it goes back to like, what's the offense going to be with Lamar? And that's the other big question of this, because Lamar and the offense couldn't really get it going last year, for whatever reason that may be. We're changing up the offense this year. I still think it's going to be good. I'm fine. I'm not down on Lamar. I don't think it's going to be done, but he is getting up there in age. I think it's fair to question these things. Derrick Henry's also getting up there in age, and you do have to kind of wonder if either of those, if Lamar's legs kind of go on him, or if Derrick Henry's efficiency goes on him, then what are we getting? Because behind it, Justice Hill, not really a 1-2 punch there in Baltimore. And then you go further, the wide receiver options outside of Zay Flowers aren't great. So not a ton of options for them. They really need Lamar's legs to kind of to give them easy answers on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm still bullish on Lamar as a quarterback. I don't think he was as bad as what people made it out to be last year. Was his accuracy down? Sure, but I still think with his ceiling as a quarterback, easily can be a top 10 offense. Defense, I think, can also be a top 10 unit. That's why I think that's why you're seeing them at 10.5 minus 140. Schedule wise, it's not too bad to start at Indianapolis and home against the Saints. They also have Tennessee at Atlanta, at Cleveland. They do sandwich a game with the Cowboy at Dallas in that stretch. But if you look at this schedule in terms of how many games they're going to be favored, there's a chance they're favored in 14, 15 games. So the schedule is very, very favorable for them. So just looking at my strength of schedule rankings, I have them 28th. They face the 28th easiest schedule in the league. So that's why you're seeing their numbers as high as they are. Though that'll be a recurring theme as we go through the rest of this division. So 10.5, like I said, 10.6 wins for me. Not something that I'm rushing to. I said the division odds. They were a little too rich for me. I have it around 42% or so. Not really trying to get involved there at the minus 105. Do think they should be the division favorite, but just not by that much. I do think there's just enough concern that, one, if Lamar goes down again, I think the offense has a chance to be really bad because he's such a vital part to that. If Derrick Henry starts to taper off at all, there are concerns. Ronnie Stanley's up there in age. They got Iwone in the draft. They really need him to, definitely in his run game, that was his strength. Really need him to help raise the floor of that offense. I don't have the playoff odds here. So I have them right now 69% to make the playoffs. Give me one sec. I can go over to it. Baltimore to make the playoff, they're minus 320. Like, I am much lower on them. That's 76% implied. You look at the missed playoffs and plus 260. Would I have some interest at the plus 260? A little bit. I think there's more of a chance that we want to believe here. I have a little bit of interest there, plus 260. I do definitely in a world where the Steelers are better. I think that's definitely possible here. Super Bowl odds. They are the second team in the AFC now at 12-1. I again think that's a little bit priced too high. I have them closer to 6%. So yeah, key for the Ravens again, Lamar's health. But I also think the defensive line health. Trey Hendrickson and Matt Buke both dealt with injuries last year. They need those guys there. In Jesse Minter's system, you have to be able to get after the quarterback with rushing 4. They want to play in light boxes. So that's kind of the key for them. Lamar's health's the easy one, but I do think the health of the defensive line is and Roquan as well in the middle of that defense is the key for them. But yeah, 10.6 wins for me. I do think they should be the favorite in the AFC North, so no complaints. Next team, let's do the Bengals. Win total for the Bengals. Over 9.5, minus 165. There's no way that's the closest, is it? Yeah, so they're at under 10.5, minus 125. I think we've seen some bullish takes on the Bengals here for a bit. I am one of those. Unfortunately, Shamar Stewart went down with an injury today. With see what looked like a pretty bad knee injury. That's a pretty big loss for them. I know they tried to add to that defense, and I was really excited to see Boye Mafe, Shamar Stewart in his second year, even Miles Murphy, all around Dexter Lawrence. Like, getting Dexter Lawrence was such a big part for them. Shamar Stewart just really, there's just not a lot of depth off the edge for them because now you're getting into, Cassius Howell, obviously, draft pick for them, second round draft pick that they're going to have some faith in. But again, you'd rather have the second year of a first rounder, a little bit more faith in that going forward for them. So I haven't adjusted my numbers yet. need to kind of see what we're going to get with him. So just that is a disclaimer when I talk about just this division as a whole, I guess, a little bit. But Shamar Stewart's not a huge piece, but it will downgrade them a bit. But yeah, so under 10.5, -125. I have him at 10.4 wins. I think this team, again, the offense is just so good that I talked about this a little bit with the Cowboys and the kind of the similarities. The offense is so good that if they're just an average defense, like things are gonna work out for them, and that's entirely possible. And you look at the state of the AFC, I don't think it's super strong. I would say from an offensive standpoint, one of the surest things heading into 2026 is the Bengals offense. And, the defense was much improved last year. I don't know if people paid attention to it as much as probably they should have, but the defense was good, or not good. The defense was much improved in the second half of the year. They were horrible in the first half. And, Al Golden, defense coordinator, made some changes where they got in that system. A lot of good players, young players, kind of were stepping up. DJ Turner being one, Brian Cook, had a solid year for them as well. So they need some steps, but you add Dexter Lawrence, and I think it just kind of and people are like, oh, they lost Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson played 6 games for them last year, and so they didn't really lose them all. But you add Mafe, Dexter Lawrence to the defensive line. All of a sudden, now you can get after the passer, be solid in the run game as well, and a coverage unit that looks okay, average-ish, to maybe slightly above average. And hey, this could be an average defense with a top 3 offense, and that's a Super Bowl contender. So I have him at 10.4 wins, and similarly to what I said about the Ravens, it's the schedule. I have them ranked 31st, second easiest schedule in all of football, the Bengals. And again, people don't talk about it enough in the NFL, but the schedule does matter. It's not as important as it is in college football or that, but I look at these again. How many games can they be favored in? I think 14 is possible for them. A little bit of a tricky start. Home against the Bucs, at Houston, at Pittsburgh, home against Jacksonville. They do get the Dolphins in their bye week, and then they're at Baltimore. But then they have a stretch of home against Tennessee, at Atlanta, home against the Steelers, at Washington, home against New Orleans, at Cleveland. That's not – and honestly, I'll just keep going. At Carolina, at Indy, they do have the Chiefs sandwich in there. So, and then they end the season with the Browns. So, it's an easy schedule with a pretty surefire. I'm pretty confident that the offense is going to be very good. So it's really, really hard for me to not kind of get excited about the Bengals in 2026 here. So I would be inclined to do the 10.5 over at plus 105. It's not a huge number for me. But yeah, I think there is some value there. I do. It's a weird thing. They're most likely. I think they're more likely to win 12 games than 10. I'll put it that way. With that schedule. So we go to division odds. Like I said about the Ravens, I thought the Ravens were a little overpriced. So naturally, you think probably going to have a pretty decent edge on the Bengals. No, 37% implied at the plus 170 number there at FanDuel. I got them at 38. So a little bit on random market. Again, I'd rather be with the way that division goes and everything, I'd rather be in the alt win market. I think than the over 11.5 would be interesting to me here. At what price are we getting here? Plus 175. Sure. Do they probably but there's a world where the Ravens, win the division at 13 wins and the Bengals get to 12. So, I like that a bit better. I think 12 wins, they have a really good shot at winning the division. I'd rather just take the alt win total there. So playoff odds for the Bengals, they're at minus 198. I'm right there, 66% for me. So no edge there as well. And then the Super Bowl, 19-1. This is the tough part. I don't have a lot of I got them about 4%, so there's nothing there for me. But A team that I'm bullish on in winning games rather than whether the odds of winning their division or making the playoffs. I think the edge for me is winning games because of how easy their schedule is. I don't want to say it's kind of similar to a Patriots-esque season last year. Very easy schedule. They're going to dominate some bad defenses, but and then when they play, more quality teams in the postseason, we'll see that defense stressed a little bit more. But yeah, I have been, I would say, bearish on the Bengals ever since they made the Super Bowl. I do not. That is not the case this year. I am pretty bullish on them. Definitely, if you can get anything out of the defense, took a little bit of a hit with the Shamar Stewart injury today. We'll see what that looks like long term. But I am a big fan of the Bengals this year in the AFC. So really comes down to me. The final verdict on the Bengals here. Offense is one of the surest things across the entire NFL. The defense was improved last year. They had Dexter Lawrence, Boya Mafe. I think that can really solidify the front seven and make this to an average defense. And when you pair that with what is expected to be an elite offense led by Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, I get pretty excited there. So that's the key. Can the defense stay healthy? Can the defense be good enough? If it gets to above average, they could easily win the Super Bowl. If they stays in the average, they're going to need some things to go right. But I think they can win a lot of games with a very, very favorable schedule. So, going right along, I'm not gonna try to pull you guys in with a Browns preview right now. I'm just gonna go right to the Steelers, third best team in the division for me. No Mike Tomlin, and they go to Mike McCarthy, who is I think a very similar coach in the sense of like kind of a floor raiser. Don't know what the ceiling is going to be. Very interested to see Aaron Rodgers back again. Guy was throwing the ball second and a half after it was snapped. Just another perfectly like average team for me. Their win total's over 7.5 minus 145. 8.5 is minus 135, so it's kind of right around on 8. This is what's tough. I'm a little bit higher on them than I want to be. And Joey Porter Jr. did go on the PUP list. I have not factored that in just yet. That's kind of a big thing as well. I have him closer to 8.5 wins. It's the toughest, really, really tough team for me to kind of project because their weapons are pretty solid. When you go with DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman, if they get anything out of Roman Wilson or anything out of Jeremy Bernard, like the wide receiver room, pretty solid. Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington is a solid tight, like very, very capable tight end group. Jalen Warren, Rico Dowdle fell off last year in the second half of the year, but he's going to be second fiddle to Jalen Warren. So I like the running back duo. So like some fun pieces there. I don't know what we're going to get. I don't know what we're getting out of Aaron Rodgers. That's really the concern. If they can get anything out of Max Iannachenor, Broderick Jones, I don't really love him. But, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, and Troy Fautanu, that's a pretty solid right side of the offensive line. So if they can just make it work, Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers reunited, I don't know what you're getting out of Aaron Rodgers at this stage, but there's something to kind of be excited about there. And then defensively, I know Cam Hayward and TJ Watt are getting up there. Hayward's still playing at elite level. Watt's definitely fallen off. If they can, Keanu Bentu, if they can get another step from him, Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig, if they can spell Watt a little bit, I think that'd be big. So they can still get like defensive line's still going to be a pain for opposing offenses. I thought Peyton Wilson was fine. I'm not a huge Patrick Queen guy, but their linebacking core is average unit or so. But really, what the killer is for me, I really like the Jamel Dean signing. But Joey Porter being out, Jalen Ramsey has some injury concerns and age concerns going into the year. The defense on paper, if healthy, can still be pretty good. Patrick Graham, I think, did an okay job with the Raiders last year. So I'm hyping this team up. I don't want to be. I wanted to fade them this year. They don't have the voodoo anymore. I am concerned. But then I go through the schedule again, and sure, it's home against Atlanta, at New England, home against Cincy, at Cleveland, home against Indy, at Tampa, at New Orleans, home against Cleveland. So those first 8 games, very manageable. The second half of the year, not so manageable. Until they have 2 easy games, but then they bring off a stretch of at Cincy, at Philly, home against Denver, home against Houston, at Jacksonville, home against Baltimore. They do have home games against Carolina and at Tennessee before finishing at Baltimore. So that stretch, that's going to be their season, the weeks 10 through 15. So my thing, though, again, it's an older team. They get the bye week before that, so that's kind of help. They get the bye week in week 9. I'd be maybe looking at like midway through the year selling off on this team because I am a little bullish. I will admit I'm a little bullish when it comes to this team. Again, like I said, closer to 8.5 wins, so I'd be inclined to take the plus money at the 8.5. Probably not, honestly, I think I might be more inclined to the minus 145 at over 7.5. If I'm being completely honest with you, so. They're plus 500 to win the division. This is going to be kind of the theme here. I have a little bit of an edge there. I just don't. They're old, and my worry is like if Rodgers is just falling off another steep cliff, or T.J. Watt is nothing, and Cam Hayward starts to fall off. There's a bit of variance here where I think they're stretched, their distribution stretched out a little bit. So do have a little bit of an edge on plus 500. That pains me a little, admittedly. Make the playoffs again, same thing, plus 158. I think that's a solid bet. I really do. And again, this is more maybe like in a prediction market, take them preseason and you can sell off at kind of a high point because I said the second half of that schedule and that middle stretch, weeks 10 through 15, is really, really hard. And I'm overall just not a huge Mike McCarthy fan at this point in his career. But I'm showing a little bit of value. It's painful. I kind of need to see what the health. There's concerns with Joey Porter Jr. and Jalen Ramsey. What are we getting there? I need to see it. They're an older team. I need to kind of see what happens through training camp. But as of right now, I think the roster's actually in okay shape if Aaron Rodgers can be anything at all. Super Bowl odds, just real quick, 65 to 1. I don't have an edge on that. That I'm pretty much right on market there, so it kind of evens out. I just think this team can make the playoffs. I think they can make some noise. That pains me to say it, but it's true. So last team, or I guess we'll go final note on the Steelers. I think if Rodgers can get any bit of youth back with his connection with Mike McCarthy, if he gets anything back, they have a solid offensive line. They have a good skill position, running backs, wide receivers. I think is pretty good, and the defense. I think it's older, but they do have a pretty high ceiling. They could be a pretty good unit. So I think this team could make the playoffs and just be a stingy out. But again, wide distribution because they're of the age amongst a lot of key players at key positions for them. So yeah, that's where we're at on the Steelers. So the Browns, final team. I think if you do a NFC or AFC North preview of the Browns or the last 20 years, the Browns are, if you go by top to bottom, the Browns are going to be the bottom team. Pretty much every year of those, or close to it. Traded away Myles Garrett in the offseason, and that's pretty significant in my mind because when I look at this defense, and this has been true for a couple years now, I don't love what they have. I know they get Jared Verse back. It'll be interesting to see how he is. I still think the defensive line and front seven overall is solid. I'm a little bit more concerned about the back end, and I wonder how much did Myles Garrett kind of save the back end and help out Carson Schwarzenegger, who was awesome in year one? How much did he help Mason Graham in year one? So I have a little bit of concerns there of what this unit's going to look like. So I would not be shocked if we saw a little bit of a drop. Like if you saw his defense go out of the top 10, I would not be shocked at all. They really need Jared Verse to. I'm not going to say he's going to be Myles Garrett, but they really need him to be there. Offensively, I loved what they did draft-wise. I think getting, Concepcion and Denzel Boston, they're trying to get weapons. Spencer Fano, I think, was a great pick for them. Just the quarterback position. I don't know what you're getting out of Deshaun Watson at this point in his career. We saw from Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. I think Dylan Gabriel's gone. I don't think there's much of a chance that he's getting another shot. Shedeur Sanders was really, really bad. I don't know if he's getting another shot either, or how much of a shot. And realistically, the Browns are playing for 2027. They need a quarterback. They need to get a good draft pick to get a quarterback in a stacked draft next year. So I think the offense is probably going to be bottom 5-ish. Do love Harold Fannin. Loved him in college at Bowling Green. He absolutely lit up Texas A&M and Penn State. He is for real. He's a little banged up right now. Need him to be healthy. Quinshon Judkins was good last year. So I'm very excited for what they're building if they can get the quarterback in place. Because I think overall the offensive line can be okay. They just have nothing at quarterback right now. So looking at the Browns, we got a win total of 5.5, a little bit juice to the under. I'm at 5.3, so again, right on market with the Browns. I'm not interested in that at all, just because at the end of the year, their schedule's not horrible at the end of the year, but it's the motivation thing. It's tough for me because you do have games at Baltimore and at Cincinnati, week 16 and 18. What are they even going to have any shot there? So I think their most likely record is going to be 5 wins. But if you get something out of the offense, quarterback position, I could see something. But again, I think this team is going to revert back from a defensive standpoint. I think the offense is going to be pretty rough. So absolutely no bullish interest in the Browns at all. Division odds, 22-1. Yeah, I would need to be in the 30s, 35, I think. I have them closer to 2.5. Not even. I'd have to get 40s, I guess, doing the math there. Just again, I don't know what their motivation is going to be. I think they're set up so perfectly for next year to get a top quarterback. I think that's really the ultimate goal here for Cleveland. Make the playoff odds. Any interest here at plus 700? No, I have them at about 10% to make the playoffs. 7-1 is just not getting it done for me. So again, it's just, this is similar to the Raiders. I did them in the preview. Similar to the when I do the Cardinals. It's just like, what is the motivation late in the year if you're 3-11 and there's some winnable games there? Like I said, they play Atlanta late. They play Atlanta in week 14. Even the Raiders in week 12. Are they trying Colts week 17? What are their odds of winning those games? And then you start to get into are they motivated? And maybe this should be a true 5 win total for me. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at with the Browns. What do we got for Super Bowl odds? 250-1. No, thank you. No. Can't see that unless Shedeur Sanders or Deshaun Watson turns back the clock 5 years. Shedeur Sanders turns into that first round pick that he thought he was going to be. I don't see it. So, that's it for the AFC North. Again, episode 4 of the War Room. If you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below which team I'm underrating, which team I'm overrating. Happy to debate you. Reach out to me on socials, AMOC419 across all platforms. But please like and comment and subscribe on the video as we try to build this channel as the season goes along. Going to be adding in, again, another episode next Thursday. Don't know what division yet. Surprise. I usually pick the day before. But yeah, we're on to the 5th division in our preview as we get into about a month or so until the season starts. So thank you for tuning in. to the AFC North preview. Should be a fun division this year. But yeah, happy for football to be back. Training camp is underway. Hopefully you guys stay healthy. But yeah, until next time, like and subscribe and enjoy. Have a good week.